Hey guys, so today I want to make a video giving you all an update to my Poison Spiral Volley Deadeye. So since the last video, I have made a few changes to the build and the equipment, and I want to give you all an update on what I did and why I did it, as well as give you guys some answers to some of the most frequently asked questions that you guys are giving me during my streams, which by the way, I stream every single night starting at 10 p.m. PST on twitch.tv/MesoXhero. I also do a multi-stream on YouTube, so feel free to hang out with me on either of those platforms. But before we hop into these frequently asked questions, let's take a look at my character. So right now I am a level 92 Deadeye, and since the last video, I have updated my survivability and made it a lot better since then. So I have 2.2k life-ish, and I have 1.31 of 4k energy shield. Life, I think, is pretty similar, but we did up our energy shield by quite a bit. And I think we've increased our evasion by a little bit as well. This could definitely go up still, but I figured this was a good time to give you all an update because we made big changes to our equipment, mainly in our helmet. So as I mentioned at the end of the last video or so, I was considering changing Atzak's sight to a regular rare helmet. That way we could run Subterfuge mask and get a little bit more energy shield and up our survivability. And that's exactly what I did. But what I didn't do was make my Snipe 5 link and add Envenom on it. I did get my Snipe to be 5 link, but I added super critical to it as opposed to Venom. That way we get a little bit more damage. Now, the reason why I'm able to do this is because we actually made some changes to our tree. So for our jewels, for the first part, I have changed all my jewels to include some form of poison magnitude, poison chance or ailment chance. So as you can see right here, we have a 15% chance to inflict ailments here. This one has a 9% chance to hit poison, and this one has a 10% chance to hit poison, right? So those are gems or jewels, that I have added to this tree to make these changes. Now, I would say that the chance to inflict ailments is definitely the preferable one because you can go up to 15% as opposed to the 10% that you have here on poison on hit. I hope that in the future they update that so that both are 15, but we'll see because you can stack them and that, gets your poison chance pretty high. So that's a route that I went, but unfortunately, because of the gems that I got and my desire to not lose too much damage, because getting 2 lines, right, both ailment and poison chance, does decrease the amount of damage you do, and I couldn't find any more high chance to inflict ailments plus projectile damage and like other damage stuff on it. There was a little bit of limitation there. If you guys can get everything for jewels, like that's perfect, right? But because of that, I ended up having to take a node off of this one right here, the 15% increased critical damage bonus, and put it down here into this one for a 20% increased chance to inflict ailments. Now, our Snipe, even without critting, or without Atzak's sight, we have a 103% chance to poison. So all of our hits will now poison, which is really, really good. Now, this actually, in my opinion, isn't the best way to do it. It's just because of limitations of my gear that we are going to be taking this route. I think that the best way to get more poison chance is actually to change our anoint. So right now we have wasting as our anointment, and if we change our anoint to Giant Slayer, we get an extra 20% chance to inflict ailments against rare or unique enemies, which are the enemies that matter to us because that's the time that we use Snipe. And then we also still get damage from our hits against rare and unique enemies, which again boosts our Snipe ability. So it does decrease our damage a little bit with Spiral Volley, but Spiral Volley honestly is strong enough as it is. We don't need that much extra damage to it. And in exchange, we get more chance to inflict ailments. So you can put this on your necklace, your amulet, you get an extra 20%, and then you can go and get another 20% from this one, or you can get it from like 2 jewels or something like that. And that way you'll not be giving up too much damage from both the tree and your jewels, and still be able to get your 100% chance to apply poisons. So my character before I did this was at like a 60% chance to apply poison, and now after I've I've done this, as you saw, it was at 103%. So basically, you kind of need 40%, give or take, if you're using my current setup. So that's kind of like the biggest change that we did to our character. And as a result, we do have a lot more survivability. And now we don't need to use Axe Sight to 100% apply poisons on our snipes, which is wonderful. Now, that is pretty much the majority of our changes, right? So we did some changes with snipe. We also did some changes with our gear right here. And I think that, honestly, in my opinion, when I get an amulet that I think is worth putting a new anoint on it, I'll probably anoint it with Giant Slayer and change up the jewels and stuff to get more damage and reduce the amount of poison chance on our tree overall with like multiple nodes. Right now, it's only +2 proj. I'd like to have a +3 one, but I'm kind of cheap and I don't have that much money. So that's why we haven't made the change yet. But to go beyond this, when I get Spiral Volley 5 Link, so get a perfect jewelers for this, I'll probably put in a Ricochet gem right here as well. That's our current setup. Nothing else has really changed, to be honest. As you can see, our gear is pretty much all the same except for this. So I wanted to take some time also to address some of these frequently asked questions. So first and foremost, this is probably the most asked question, and that's how to level up the build. I'm going to be completely transparent. When I made this character, I did not make it as a Spiral Volley character, so I did not level it as a Spiral Volley character. I leveled it as a character that was going to be a like Spear Field plus Wind Serpent's Fury build. So we ended up using Bleed Rakes to level up the character. But if you wanted to go and use a bow build and kind of level up along this tree and not have to respec a lot, what I would recommend is leveling up as a Gas Arrow character. Gas Arrow is still very strong, and it's a very solid skill to level up with. So basically, with that, you're just going to want to go and grab like these quiver nodes, right? Basically, the only difference that you're going to be doing with that build is instead of grabbing these crit chance nodes along the way and grabbing these frenzy charge nodes, you're just going to go and grab the poison magnitude nodes as fast as you can. So that is going to be how you're going to be leveling this character, just using Gas Arrow, and you're not going to be consuming frenzy charges. So probably you're just going to go the endless munitions, and then also, well, actually, by the time you kind of finish that up, you probably are going to be transitioning to Spiral Volley anyway. So just go endless munitions, and then when you're ready to transition, then you could respec this into Thrilling Chase. So that's going to be how you level it. And in terms of when you transition, what I would recommend is when you are able to grab Resonance and also be able to comfortably kill map bosses without having to rely on frenzy charged barrages. The reason why I say that is because while oftentimes and most times I will go into a map boss with the full amount of frenzy charges, there are times when I mess up and I hit the barrage button and I like miss the boss, or maybe I mistime the snipe or something, right? That causes me to lose all my frenzy charges. And if that's the case and you can't kill the boss efficiently anymore, then that's not really worth going into snipe, in my opinion. So the time that you can actually go and swap into the Spiral Volley build is really when you're able to comfortably kill those bosses with snipe without relying on frenzy charge barrages. If you can just use regular barrage snipes and kill the boss reliably, then I think that that's a good time to go and swap builds. Now, some of you guys might be asking me, oh, what about Spiral Volley, right? Why aren't you talking about whether, you need to do X or Y or Z with Spiral Volley to be able to transition to it? Well, that's because it's actually pretty easy to get into Spiral Volley. Spiral Volley requirements are not very high to get into. In reality, you really only need to be able to get these 3 gems socketed into it, and you're pretty much set to go. So it really isn't that high of a requirement, and some of you guys might be struggling with reliably getting frenzy charges, but I'll show you guys kind of what's going on and why you actually shouldn't be having those troubles in a little bit. But the third most asked question is going to be, how do I get frenzy charges against bosses? So when you're up against map bosses, of course, you're going to be one-shotting them for the most part. But against pinnacle bosses, it can be a little bit tough. This character so far has gone and killed up to tier 3 King of the Mist, and I've done up to tier 2, what should we call it? Zesht. I haven't been able to get anything into the Arbiter, and I haven't really done like Delirium or Excavation or Expedition or anything like that. But those are going to be pretty similar in terms of their experience, honestly. But I think tier 4 is one I haven't went up against yet, and I'm expecting that to be a little bit of a struggle. At the end of the day, this build, as good of a build it is for one-shotting bosses, it doesn't really one-shot like higher HP bosses right now. I think that one of the biggest upgrades for me and to increase our ability to one-shot these bosses is going to be the Rislatha's belt. That's kind of expensive for me. I can't afford it right now. But I think that once I get Rislatha's, we'll probably be able to get one-shot a lot more pinnacle bosses, though tier 4 is probably still going to be pretty difficult. But that all aside, I've been rambling. How do I get charges against the pinnacle bosses and bosses that I can't just one-shot? Well, what I do is, and this is why I only do it on pinnacle bosses, what I do is I unspec off of resonance, and then I rely on Sniper's Mark to gain frenzy charges, because when we put Sniper's Mark on the enemy, it guarantees that we get frenzy charges when we get a crit, and we always crit on snipe. So when we hit the enemy with a Sniper's Mark, we'll get a frenzy charge. And with our Ascendancy, we have a 30% chance to get to max of frenzy charges. So if we hit that 30%, it's big damage, right? If we don't, then we're going to have to go try again. Either that, or we just end up killing the boss over time. So it's not perfect. It's not great, but that's one of the limitations of this build in terms of single target. It's just snipe at the end of the day does a lot of damage, but it's still not like you're going to one-shot every boss with it. It just doesn't work that way, unfortunately. That's why, you know, Wind Serpent's Fury still is going to be the best single target for Deadeye. But you're going to have to play Spear for that instead of Bow. So, yeah. That is how I generate frenzy charges on bosses. And the next one and the last one is going to be, why can't I reliably get frenzy charges when mapping? And I think a good way to demonstrate this is actually just to go into maps and show you. So somebody came in yesterday, was like, hey, I'm not able to get frenzy charges on a map. What's going on? Am I just too weak? I'm just like, well, I don't know. What's your range, right? What's your damage, or at least your tooltip DPS, right? He's like, oh, it's about 2k on, or 3k on Spiral Volley. I'm like, that should be plenty, to be honest. And he's like, really? So I went and showed him. So I bought just like a random bow. I mean, this isn't terrible bow, to be honest, right? It's okay. It's not good, but it's like better than just a random nothing bow. It's got some fizz on it. But when we put it on, we have way less damage. It halves our damage, basically. So with that, I wanted to go and do a map just for a little bit, just to show you guys that even with this level of damage, you're able to get reliable frenzy charges because of how the poison part works. And I think that at the end of the day is the reason why some of you guys might not be able to reliably get frenzy charges with this build. And that is because you probably haven't spec'd or put it like much investment into poison magnitude. The poison magnitude is going to be giving you guys the majority of your frenzy charges when you are first starting off with low damage. That's the reason why I think that this build is superior to the bleed variant, because the bleed variant doesn't give you an option to get frenzy charges when you are low damage. But the poison one does. You can just go and pop your poisons, and then the enemies will have their armor broken. You see, they get their armor broken very, very quickly. And then this is in turn going to start your, your train, basically, your frenzy engine. After you get that initial poison, you can pretty much rely on Splinter and your physical damage to get the rest of your frenzy charges. You really don't need to rely on your poison anymore after that. So you really don't need that much damage to start getting your frenzy charges. And for that reason, I just think that anybody who is saying that they're having trouble getting frenzy charges, it probably is the situation, the case where you probably just didn't invest enough into your poison magnitude. So go invest into your poison magnitude, get these nodes, right? This one right here, this one right here, these ones right here, and this one right here. And then you'll be able to get your frenzy charges very, very reliably. So yeah, And as for any other questions you guys might have, like these are the most frequently asked questions, right? That's why we're answering those here. But if you have any additional questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below, and I'll try to go and answer as many of those as I can. But until next time, guys, hopefully y'all enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys are continuing to enjoy the Spiral Volley build, and yeah, if you enjoyed it, please hit the sub button. It's the best way to support the channel. And also, I stream on twitch.tv/misoxshrew every single night starting at 10 p.m. PST. So I'd love to see you guys there. For the next couple days, I'm going to be streaming Last Epoch because the leak just came out today. And I'm going to be going and covering that and having a good time with y'all. So come hang out if you want to see Last Epoch action as well. But until next time, guys, hopefully I get to see y'all on my stream. But if not, hopefully I'll see y'all on my next video. All right, guys. Peace.